New York, like many cities, has been devastated by the lockdown and especially the impact that it's had on the hospitality industry. So, where do we go from here? What do we know about just how much economic damage was done? So, with me is Arthur Backal, the CEO of the Backal Hospitality Group, to kind of talk a little bit about what we've been through, Arthur. I mean, you and I are both New Yorkers. We've seen firsthand what's been going on since March. I mean, kind of give me an overview, put into context, like how big is the hospitality industry in New York, and what exactly are we talking about here?
Well, it's a huge business. It's many, many billions. I mean, the event industry, which is a big part of my portfolio, venues and running all these large, not-for-profit galas, corporate events, social events. It's over 10 billion alone. So we're talking well more than that when you include all the restaurants and bars and everything that's been shut down. Essentially since March, and actually even leading up to that shutdown by the city, there was already indications, and people were already having issues with their events and wondering what was going on. And then everything, as we know, just proceeded very quickly to not a good situation for all of us in this business.
Oh boy, it sure did, and it's heartbreaking. To see some of my favorite places just closed up, and then we went through the riots, and there was like another couple of weeks of
Yes.
devastation for them. So that kind of added to that. So we're talking about. So you mentioned restaurants, conferences. I mean, just any kinds of events. I mean, there's something going in New York 24/7. It seems like
Yes.
so. It was a
Yes.
huge
It's a
impact.
huge business. It's a huge business. I mean, just the event side alone in New York employs over 600,000 people. Not to mention in the country, we're talking, millions and millions more. The hospitality itself is almost 15% of our national economy in terms of employment.
That's right. And all of the peripheral businesses that depend on that. So, all of the jobs, cleaning crews and chefs and small businesses. I mean, the ripple effect must be absolutely huge.
Yeah, no, it's really, really difficult situation because people don't realize. Yeah, they go to an event, it sounds great. That's one end of the business, but it's so many of the people that are affected by this. Like you say, in addition, the florists, the designers, the food suppliers, beverage, entertainment companies. I could go on and on, but there's so many different businesses that have been affected.
Mhm. So, you have launched something. It is called the Banquet Event Strategic Task Force for New York, or BEST. And that's a kind of a group or an organization to help plan. Where do we go from here? So tell me about that.
Yeah, well, we started, I mean, listen, about a month or so ago when we started really getting into this. It's now probably been going on 2 months. A group of us got together, some of the leaders, some of the industry, senior leaders that are both owners, managers, involved in venues, hotels, started getting together. So it was a small group, and it's grown since then. But we founded this as an industry recovery group, and we're looking to make it a permanent trade association because really to have our voice heard, and we've done a lot now recently because we've gotten, a very comprehensive plan. First of all, we got together to show that we had to have these best practices put together, knowing that our end of the business, the in-person gatherings, the large gatherings, we're not coming back right away. So we wanted to show that we had a very orchestrated, organized, synchronized group of all, really the biggest great leaders in our business to put together a plan that you could now show that we could open safely with the guidelines of the government, CDC, anything that we need to, all the health, protocols in place, and get us reopened as quickly as possible and as safely as possible.
Yeah. Now, is there any way you could work with the state or the federal government to kind of help organize? Is there anything you're asking for? I know there's one proposal about letting people write off 100% of their meals, things like that. So there's some different things. Is there anything you're particularly supporting that would help?
Well, I like that, and I'm really trying to be involved on all ends. I'm trying to lead and advise and work together with the groups that are just relying on this one end of the business. But then you have the economic part that not only about the employment and the revenue dollars, but how some of the things that are happening and trying to be put through, the government officials and Congress. And I've heard of that now, so it's great to have these incentives to have, either tax breaks or encouragement to how you could do more business, both on the event side and on the restaurant side. Those deductions and all that. So I've heard that some of the federal, funding and other loan programs. Some of them are great, but some of them are just a real short-term, stopgap, and it's really not going to help us because our business is just going to be affected for many, many more months and really into not only this year, into next year.
Well, that's what I was just going to ask. I mean, are we just kind of forgetting about 2020 and looking ahead to 2021?
Listen, I can't, and I don't think any of my colleagues and the people that rely on this is their livelihoods. I've been doing this for a long time, over 3 decades. I've been involved in some of the best hotels, event venues, restaurant, food and beverage programs, and it's really heartbreaking to know this is something that's been out of our control, couldn't be foreseen. And this is really 2020 has been really difficult to try to. You got to realize when this first started in March, there was a lot of good optimism that we could just postpone and reschedule into later this year. Even the summer was for a little while looking promising. Like, okay, we'll have like a busy summer where in New York City, it's not always the busiest time. And then all of a sudden that moved to the fall. So we all said we're going to be busier than ever in the fall. Well, as the weeks went on, the months went on, it's been very clear that this year is going to be extremely challenging, and then going into next year. But what we're trying to do is try to figure out ways. I have different types of venues, some large, some smaller, some that might have some outdoor space. So there might be things that you could at least get some business going again.
Yeah, no, this has certainly dragged out longer than I had expected. I mean, I thought things would be back to normal in June, even maybe earlier. I've been way too optimistic all along. So now how can somebody find out about this group or get involved or just kind of learn about what New York's doing so other cities can?
Well, I think that's great. And listen, we've been getting, our word out with Best, trying to get to both the government officials, to local, to, the different counties, things that are happening. So we have a really good group that's communicating and trying to get our information out.
So thank you so much, Arthur, for coming. Best of luck. I know it's been really, really hard, and I'd love to see New York back again. So it's great to talk to you, and good luck.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Jane.